so happy to have you on the show. I said it, my friend, to the T. Tenemos el día de hoy al gran Julian Lennon en el programa, que saben que es hijo de John Lennon, cantante, compositor, gran filántropo, fotógrafo, y está con nosotros hoy aquí porque viene, y estamos en vivo, ¿eh? Él está en Europa, nosotros estamos en México y ustedes en cualquier otra parte del mundo, pero viene a presentar los primeros dos sencillos del nuevo álbum, que es su séptimo álbum de estudio, que se llama Jude. So, Julian, we're so happy to have you on the show. I imagine that you've heard this 1,000 times, but you have no idea what your legacy means to the world, what your father meant to the world, and it is an absolute honor to have you live on the show.
Thank you very much. I think I have a pretty good idea, but thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, so obviously we're going to talk about Imagine at some point, but let's start with the album. So the album's name is Jude. That's the first thing that calls my attention. Why the name?
Why not?
Why not? Why not?
The reality is it's a song that's always been important on many levels. It's been important because of the positive effect that the lyrics have had on my life and many other people's lives. But it's also been a harsh reminder of a time and a place that was very, very painful, with my parents separating and divorcing, and my mother and I going one way and my father going another. So this album was very much about coming to terms and finding a place of peace and balance in life. And part of that, especially after watching the Get Back movie, was the reality was that I am in fact Jude. And, during the process of the pandemic and COVID and everything else, one of the real things you had to deal with was looking in the mirror, looking deep down inside. And I wanted to get over many of the fears in my life, much of the anxiety, the depression, the this, that, and the other. And, I've always been looking for the light. I think we always try to find that. And coming to terms and being Jude was part of that revelation, part of that understanding.
How lovely what you just said. I think we not only had to stare into a mirror, but we also had to stare into the Zoom camera every single damn day, which not helped for our depression and anxiety. A ver, let me say everything you said in Spanish. Le digo que primero lo que me llama la atención es que el álbum, que es el séptimo álbum de estudio de Julian, se llama Jude, que saben que es una canción muy famosa, ¿no? Entonces me dice, pues al final, te voy a decir una cosa, yo creo que todos pasamos gran parte de la vida buscando la luz y resolviendo nuestros temas, nuestra depresión, nuestra ansiedad, nuestras angustias, el bagaje emocional que traemos. Y creo que para nosotros fue complicado porque mis padres se divorcian muy jóvenes. Su mamá era Cynthia Lennon, que fue la primera esposa de John Lennon. Mi mamá y yo nos vamos por un lado, mi papá se va por el otro, la pérdida que tuvimos en la familia. Entonces creo que todos nosotros siempre estamos buscando esa luz y sentirnos mejor. Y creo que estos 2 años de pandemia nos forzaron a vernos enfrente de un espejo y a verdaderamente reflexionar y hacer un trabajo de introspección y de saneamiento y de desintoxicación de todo con lo que venimos cargando. Y por eso yo quería pensar que yo soy Jude y por eso decidí ponerle este álbum Jude. I said it, my friend, to the T.
I congratulate
I assume you're
Thank
super
you.
fluent in Spanish, by the way.
I understand it fairly well.
Oh, that's great. So, okay, the first 2 singles are Every Little Moment and Freedom.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine what every little moment means, because that's something that we also learned in these 2 years. And I don't know if you have the same perspective, but how frail life is, how easy things can change from one day to another, and how it is our duty to enjoy and be present every little moment.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, strangely enough, it was a song that was written 30 years ago and recorded 30 years ago.
Mhm.
But it's a song that remains true to today. So it's that realization that, you know, it is that every little moment, especially in today's world. I mean, most people would have thought this song was written about today and about what's going on,
Exactly.
and the idea that the song really is about hope. It's about having the idea that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And again, the fact that I wrote it 30 years ago and it's relevant right here, right now, is you know, just showing me, which is exhausting. I think it shows all of us that we just don't learn. We just haven't learned, and I don't understand. It confuses me. It drives me crazy that we cannot find a way forward peacefully.
Yeah.
Although, you know, there's a few of us out there that are trying.
They're trying to
help,
make a difference.
help
Absolutely.
that. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Es que
yeah.
le digo que el primer sencillo que se llama Every Little Moment, que es una canción que él compuso hace 30 años, que habla también mucho de la esperanza y de que al final del túnel oscuro sí hay una luz. Y le digo que si algo aprendimos en esta pandemia es eso, ¿no? Lo frágil que es la vida y cómo te puede cambiar de un momento a otro y lo duro que le hemos vivido. Y me dice, lo que me trauma es que esta canción la escribí hace 30 años y es una canción evidentemente de esperanza, pero me entristece darme cuenta que pasan 30 años y seguimos igual de emproblemados y sin aprender las grandes lecciones que debe de aprender la humanidad. Aunque algunos allá afuera que sí estamos haciendo, tratando de hacer algo para cambiar este mundo. And, you know,
But,
to a couple of, you were going to say.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that, you know, on that note as well, that Every Little Moment was written at the same time as a song that I sang in Spanish called Saltwater, which was about the environment and humanity.
A ver, shoot. Give it to me.
What, Saltwater?
Yes, of course. Let me see how that's, if that Spanish is not that rusted.
Oh, it's very rusted. La tierra es una roca que gira en torno al sol. I don't know. It's
no, but that's good. It sounds great. So it's the same
rough.
time. It's the same time.
Yeah,
so,
it was written at the same. So that was, you know, again written about, you know, the problems we had back then that we still face even
today.
more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dice que esta canción de Every Little Moment, justamente él escribió en la época en que él también cantó una canción en español y nos hizo un pedacito. Y dice, y justamente también hablaba de exactamente lo mismo que estamos viviendo hoy. Y eso fue hace, imagínense ustedes, 30 años. Ahora, yo sí estuve viendo en todas las noticias la semana pasada y antepasada que fue como una gran revelación. Que Julian siempre había dicho que él nunca iba a interpretar Imagine, que es una canción interpretada y compuesta por su papá. Hasta hace unos días. So I was telling the audience that I think it was, I don't know if it was last week or a couple of weeks ago.
2 weeks
that
ago.
I saw like on every single media outlet, Julian Lennon, after saying for so many years that he would never sing Imagine.
Number one, I never said I'd never.
Okay, you never
it.
said that? Okay, so tell us the whole story. Because that's what everybody was saying. He always said he would never sing it, and now he will in Pro
No,
but tell us the whole
I never
story.
said.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I had said that the only time I would ever consider singing this is if it felt like it was the end of the world or close to it. And, you know, I mean, talk about time-wise, it was slightly daunting, overwhelming, and complicated to think about this. But with what's been going on in the world, and especially with Russia and Ukraine and refugees around the world and every kind of issue we can imagine. Global Citizen came to me and said, you know, can you do anything? What can you know? And I thought, well, you know, if there was ever a time, it would be now. But I want to have control over how I do it. So,
but before you tell me how you do it, why?
Yeah.
Why now? What is your opinion of what is happening between Russia and Ukraine?
Because it felt like the end of the world. It's what's going on now is horrendous. It's beyond. It's so painful to watch. It's beyond disturbing. I mean, it's heartbreaking. But this has been going on in other countries and territories around the world forever. But because of the social media and the news these days, and it's 24/7, and we're being bombarded with it, but also we're seeing this. We're seeing this as things happen. And this is beyond overwhelming to see the pain and suffering and the death that's going on. It's heartbreaking. That's all I can say about it without falling apart. Watching innocent families, women and children being murdered, basically. Being murdered. This is why I thought, if there's any time, this is it. And so the funny thing was, this was the Saturday before my birthday, which was the 8th of April, which was when I was releasing the first 2 songs of the album. And so when I said yes on the Saturday, I was overwhelmed by that. The anxiety of me singing Imagine was, for me, insane. I had to think, how am I going to deliver this and be honorable, respectful, emotional, true, raw? How am I going to do this? And the first thing that came to mind is, I cannot do it on the piano because it would have the same rhythm. I need to do something slightly different. And so that's why I thought of Nuno Betancourt, just very simple acoustic guitar, me singing it raw, no production, nothing, just straight from the heart. And that, we recorded it 2 or 3 times, and then I played it back, and I just went, okay, I can live with that. That feels true. It feels organic. It's not contrived. And it was a kind of one of the biggest weights off of my shoulders I've ever had, because I never thought that I'd have to sing that song, but I just felt here and now feels the right time and the right place. And then, of course,
I think it felt right for everybody. And let me tell you something, it came across raw and honest and sincere.
Thank you.
And from the heart. Really, I truly tell you, I was very moved by it. And so I have no idea how I'm going to say everything you just said in Spanish, but I will.
I'm sorry.
Dice Julian Lennon que él nunca dijo que nunca le iba a cantar. Lo que él dijo es, el día que yo cante esa canción es porque verdaderamente ya es el fin del mundo. Y está tan conmovido con lo que ha pasado entre Ucrania y Rusia, como gente inocente, familias enteras, han sido asesinadas por el gobierno ruso, que dijo, este es el momento. Y aparte fue el 8 de abril, que era un sábado, estaba por lanzar los 2 primeros sencillos de su nuevo álbum, y en eso tomó la decisión de voy a hacer Imagine. Y luego se sintió súper abrumado porque dijo, es que ¿cómo la voy a hacer? Que sea honesta y que sea respetable y que sea un honor a la versión de mi papá. Entonces dijo, yo creo que para empezar no puede ser en un piano porque va a sonar demasiado igual, y por eso decidió hablar con Nuno Betancourt, tener una guitarra acústica sin producción y hacer la versión más honesta, del corazón y cruda que pudo haber hecho de la canción Imagine. Si no han visto el video, está en todas las redes sociales. Es una verdadera joya y vale mucho la pena que la escuchen. Y sintió que lo que está pasando ahorita en el mundo, que lo vemos todos los días, minuto por minuto, en todos lados, era razón suficiente para volver a retomar esta canción. I'm going to ask you a very difficult question to say goodbye.
Try me.
My audience is very musical. We love music on the show. And, we're truly honored, truly, Julian, from the heart, to have you on the show. When I started making radio 35 years ago, I remember playing But It's Not Too Late for Goodbyes.
You mean
I would
much
play
too
that
late?
song, much too late. I would play that song on the radio all the time, many, many years ago. So you've been
I'm very sorry.
You're crazy. We love it. It's part of our growing up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question. What is one thing that people do not know about your father that should know?
That's a difficult one, because probably the public and the fans very often know much more than I do. You've got to realize that he left my mother and I when I was 5 years old. I saw him once or twice briefly. But the only thing I could say is that I'm thankful that we did have a few moments together again before he was taken away, where I saw, even in that relationship, there was light at the end of the tunnel, and it looked promising. So in that regard, there's nothing secret I could tell you that's different, but it just showed me that, that even after all those years, that we could come together again and love and respect each other.
From my heart to yours. Thank you, my dear friend.
My pleasure.
Are you coming to Mexico? Pleasure. Are you coming to Mexico?
You better invite me.
You are most invited. We have amazing venues, the best audience ever. You would love to do a concert in this country. And I think that JUDE would be an amazing excuse.
Count me in. Next year, though.
Next year. And you'll be back on the show, and we'll make that a sold-out concert. A big kiss all the way to Monaco. Thank you, Julian. Take care.
Ciao.
Blessings.
Bye-bye.
Ay, le dije que si me podía decir algo de su papá que no supiéramos. Me dijo, mira, es una pregunta muy complicada y te voy a decir por qué. Porque la verdad es que mi papá se fue cuando mi mamá, yo tenía 5 años. Y durante muchos años no lo vi más que un par de veces. Y después se lo llevaron. Pero lo que sí puedo rescatar, y creo que los fans a lo mejor saben más de él que siquiera yo, es que en esas ocasiones que tuve oportunidad de verlo, hubo cariño, hubo amor, hubo respeto. El gran Julian Lennon. Déjenme decirles que el nuevo disco, el 7º álbum de estudio de Julian, sale, ya está a la venta. Every Little Moment y Freedom son los primeros 2 sencillos. Y le decía yo que cuando yo hacía radio hace muchos años, amaba y poníamos la canción de It's Much Too Late for Goodbyes, que era lo máximo, y me dijo, te pido una disculpa por esa canción. Perdón, yo la amaba y creo que todos crecimos con ella. Y bueno, le agradezco del alma que haya estado con nosotros, que venga pronto a México, y me dice que si viene el año que entra.